Good Friday commemorates the crucifixion of Jesus. He is condemned to death by Pilate, mocked, beaten. He doesn't say too many words, but one of the last sentences that he says is, "It is finished." His death symbolizes the greatest sacrifice for the sins of humanity. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amanda, and on this channel I make quite literally whatever content I fancy making. And it's Good Friday today, which can only mean that it's time for another installment of my Holy Week videos. I hope you've been enjoying following along so far. For those of you that are joining the series now, I started this back on Palm Sunday, aka last Sunday, so feel free to go back to the beginning and catch up. I'm essentially just doing these videos so that we can get a real feel for the events that occurred during the Easter story. And yeah, so let's get into it. We're going to be covering the crucifixion of Jesus in this one, and then we have two more videos that will be following, one tomorrow and one on Sunday, so Holy Saturday and Easter Sunday, when the story gets a little bit more happy, jolly and exciting. But before I read this, I really want us to get into the brain space of what it must have been like for those there and for the disciples of Jesus, because yes, they had heard all of his parables and things like that, but to be living in faith that, okay, he's going, but he will come back. Yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so starting in Matthew chapter 27, verse 27. The soldiers mock Jesus. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole company of soldiers round him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand. Then they knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they said. They spat on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. The crucifixion of Jesus. As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall, but after tasting it, he refused to drink it. When they had crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots, and sitting down, they kept watch over him there. Above his head, they placed the written charge against him: "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." 2 rebels were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross if you are the Son of God." In the same way, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now if he wants him. For he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him also heaped insults on him. The death of Jesus. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." Many women were there watching from a distance. They had followed Jesus from Galilee to care for his needs. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. Before I forget to mention, if you want to get some other perspectives on this Good Friday story, you can check in the other chapters of the Gospels. For example, there is Mark 15 verse 16 to 41, and then Luke chapter 23 verse 26 to 49, and then also John chapter 19 verse 16 to 37. What I will do, and hopefully I'll remember to do this for other videos that I've already filmed, is I will put where each story that we go through each day is referenced in those other books in the Bible, if you want to cross-reference, because it is in, I think, John, where you will find that Jesus said, "It is finished." Okay, as I do in all of these videos, I'm ending with some points of reflection for us. So the first thing that I want us to reflect on is, and the sun is coming out again, this is a common feature in all of these videos, that I want us to reflect on what this sacrifice means for us, or for you personally. How do you want to respond to that sacrifice that, you know, Jesus has made for our sins, for humanity? And also, I want to circle back to what I mentioned at the beginning. I really think that we should reflect on what it must have been like to be an onlooker in this period of time, to see this happening. And I want us to look from two different perspectives. So the perspective of those that didn't believe in him, so like the teachers of the law and the Pharisees, how they would have felt pre-crucifixion and just after the crucifixion, and what the sentiment may have been for the disciples, or even for the women that are referenced that travelled with him all the way from Galilee to look after his needs. How would they have been feeling before and immediately after. Good Friday is a bit of a weird one because we know how the story ends, so it's not so sad, but it takes some effort essentially to get into that mindset of like what it really would have meant to those individuals in that time period. So yeah, those are 2 points of reflection. I will see you again tomorrow on Holy Saturday, where we will be touching on Jesus being in the tomb before we get to Easter Sunday, my absolute favourite part of this entire story. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you again tomorrow, and take care.